Mac and Blue, where we introduce you to who is building Arizona, bringing you the people and businesses that shape the landscape around us. From economic development and developers, underwriters and lenders, architects and engineers, to the very builders and suppliers that bring it all together. Now let's join our hosts, Robert Johnson and JJ Levinsky, aka Mac and Blue.
Welcome to Mac and Blue. I'm Robert Johnson, Vice President, Business Development with Torrey Contracting. He is JJ Levinsky. He is the president of Blue Wave General Contracting. And you know what I'm going to say next?
What?
How you doing?
I'm doing great.
Good.
Welcome
good.
back. You know, I had to go solo last week.
Yeah.
They were doing a lobotomy on Robert.
Yeah, frontal.
He's back.
Yeah, a frontal lobotomy or yeah, never mind. I could get mixed up there. Daryl Robinson is our producer. I saw you. Did you just turn your mic on?
Yeah, just
nobody said anything to you about your mic. But anyway, great to have you.
Awesome, thank you.
Yeah, I caught him like he was like
Great to have him on. I'm glad he's here. Otherwise, we'd have a production problem.
Yeah, it'd be dead air.
I was ready for my moment.
You were. Okay.
Oh,
so,
you seized it. I'm telling you.
You did. We seized your moment too. Yeah, I know. So what I was going to say is that it's amazing. Social media loves two things. Social media loves brains and beauty. Okay. Last week we had James Murphy.
Yeah.
This week we have Karli Levin.
So what are you saying?
This week we get both.
If James is listening, he's going to be offended.
No, he'll be bummed. But I was like, okay, how do I get out of this now? So Karli is the key account manager with, I'm going to do it, Alliance Environmental Group. Yes. Now, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
I've got to start off by saying, what does Alliance Environmental Group do?
Ooh, where should I start?
At the beginning usually helps.
Yeah, I should have brought a whole brochure because there's so many services that we provide for our clients that I
okay, then I'll ask it like this. Are you an insurance restoration company?
In a way, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
But not in the strictest sense of the word. I see it more when I read up on it as more of the air quality, those kinds of things.
Yes. So Alliance Environmental Group has been around since 1995.
Okay.
We're based in Azusa, California, and we have 12 branches there up and down the coast of California. So we cover all of California. Vegas, where I started with Alliance Environmental Group, was, I would say at the time, the only branch that was created organically. We didn't buy a company to start out there, started from the ground up. And then we have branches here in Arizona, Tacoma, Washington, and then Oregon, and we're constantly growing. So Arizona's a little unique, actually. We provide more services than any of the other states. So I just want to make clear for the record, this is only Arizona that we do this in.
Okay.
So we do provide out here water mitigation and recon. So that's why it's hard for me to say 100% yes, because we don't do water mitigation in all the other states. It's just this one. Arizona, as I'm sure you both know, is a little unique as far as our side of things. There's like 350 restoration companies that we know of.
That you know of.
Yeah, that we know of.
Yeah, there's another 350 that just work out of the back of their truck with a, carpet machine.
Correct. So Alliance Environmental Group, when they started, they were known for asbestos abatement. Okay. That was our bread and butter. Then we branched into other services. So we do mold remediation, selective demo, bio, trauma, meth lab cleanup.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay. Time out.
You probably see that more in Vegas than you do in any other state. But
all right.
True.
For the audience sake, you got to go down that rabbit hole. So, I mean, come on, just tell us, like, what is it like? How bad is it? Like, and who do you typically work for in something like that? Who's hiring you, first of all?
So as far as who's hiring us, it's usually the property manager.
Okay.
For residential mainly.
Okay.
for like multifamily. I
Mhm.
would say you're finding that.
That's
or
what-
it's like insurance, for a homeowner, and they're trying to get, maybe they're renting the property.
Mhm.
So they're trying to get evicted and stuff like that. But
So what's it like walking into something like that? Just put it into words.
I can't actually put it into words because I will say I have yet to come across one of those types of jobs.
Oh,
For me personally.
Oh.
I did have a call out here in Arizona for one. But I get to pick and choose what jobs I go and walk because I'm not an actual estimator. I just do the selling portion.
Sure. I can tell you I have a little past in insurance restoration, that whole thing. We'll have a discussion off air.
Okay.
Yeah, I've got some good stories. Yeah. It's not fun. It's
not.
needed, greatly needed, especially,
Mhm.
I mean, that's so much more prevalent than it used to be.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. There's just not only that, the ones that were grower house,
Oh, yeah.
that were growing marijuana and lights and duct work through the walls and, Anyway,
so
Yeah.
bringing Mendocino County inside your apartment is what you're telling me.
yeah, pretty much. So that's fascinating. So more so, the air quality, the asbestos abatement. Asbestos abatement has gotten much more visual.
Oh yeah.
I didn't even worry about it years ago, and now every time you do construction or anything, you've got to do an asbestos test, especially if the building's overbuilt since.
So for commercial,
Yeah.
this is where the misconception is.
Mhm.
Commercial, it could be built today.
Right. It's 100%
Yeah. And then if something happened tomorrow, you would have to go get it tested.
correct.
So that's a lot of general contractors that I deal with have a hard time comprehending the fact. They're like, well, we literally just put this building up. There's no way there's asbestos, but people don't realize that they're still actually using asbestos.
Yep.
So that's definitely a hurdle for me when I'm talking to general contractors.
Yeah, people think that it's the typical popcorn ceilings, VCT tile, that's got
Pipe
that
insulation,
black,
things like that.
it's things like that. But it really is much more prevalent in construction materials.
Mhm.
Not so much anymore, but it's still there.
Oh yeah, it's still there. And that actually brings me to some other services that we provide.
Good.
Because we know that asbestos is, slowly going away. Obviously, they still use it, but still slowly going away. They also offer indoor air quality services. So like duct cleaning, fire damper inspections, fire stopping. So we have a whole IAQ side. We started out with just healthcare, but it's branched out to all commercial that we can provide that for. So between all the companies that Alliance Environmental Group has acquired, we're now considered the largest IEQ company on the West Coast.
Oh wow.
Very
So
interesting.
yeah. So
How many employees do you have total, or do you know?
we're past the 500 mark. I
Oh.
know that. So,
Substantial.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I apologize. We jumped right into what the company does. Let's find out something about you.
Yeah. Should we start with the important stuff?
Yeah. How did you get into this business? Tell us about what brought you to the meth lab business.
You're throwing out that service of all services.
Yeah, but yeah, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah. So starting back to when I was born.
Hey, this is only an hour.
Yep, only have an hour.
No, so I'm originally from Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
Go Badgers.
Yes.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah,
Thank
there
you.
we
See,
go.
I had to get the plug.
It's in my bio. So yeah, originally from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I went to UW-Madison for college. After I graduated from college, I actually have 3 siblings, 2 older, 1 younger. And my family, we were all graduating from our respective areas, and my family decided, you know what, let's move to Arizona. So believe it or not, 19 of us moved from Milwaukee, Wisconsin to Arizona.
Okay, so we've got to dig into that a little bit. You said siblings, and you only used the number 3, and then we went to 19. So everybody.
That's Wisconsin math. Don't you know that?
Yeah, everybody
Yes,
moved.
everybody. So yeah, essentially everyone except from my dad's side of the family moved. My grandma lived with me my whole entire life. So she was obviously in that move.
Okay.
My mom has one brother. So my aunt and uncle on that side was like, well, if you guys are leaving, we're leaving. So they came along. Then we had a cousin that came with because we were super close with that particular cousin. And then my sister-in-law, she wouldn't move unless her family moved. So they all came.
This really is kind of a Wisconsin thing, isn't it? I mean, it's just
Well, this is where I might just draw the line.
Yeah, so we all moved. And then obviously my older brother and older sister, my sister has 2 boys, and then my brother has a boy and a girl. So
But you wound up in Las Vegas.
I did end up in Las Vegas.
Job? I mean, was that what it was primarily?
Significant other at
Okay.
the time.
Okay.
Yeah. So decided to make the move.
Okay. So you did come here.
Yeah, I lived here for
and
5
then
years.
went to Vegas.
Yes.
Okay. What'd you think of Vegas?
Well, I'm back in Arizona, aren't I?
Yeah.
Well, see, he's baiting you because he does part
That's
time
right.
here and part time there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You two should carpool.
No.
No, she's done.
Oh,
No, I still come
Do
to
you
Las
still go?
Vegas, but
It's not a bad drive, is it?
I fly.
Yeah, I could, but I'm kind of a driver person.
I leased my car, so
TSA
a
won't
lot
let him
of-
in anyway, Karli.
But let me ask you this. So this just leads us to you'll find out this is how this whole program goes.
Yes.
But don't you get horrible wait times on flying coming back this way?
Oh, it's brutal.
Oh, that's one of the reasons why I drive. It's like you can fly and leaving Phoenix, you're pretty much always on time. For some reason, coming back from Vegas, you'll sit 2 hours. I mean, it's just ridiculous. Is it always that way?
I feel like ever since COVID, it's been that way.
Okay, then maybe that makes sense. Yeah, but you do fly.
I do fly.
Okay, you're spoiled. But you don't now. If I remember correctly, you were living, kind of had a place in both places for a while.
Yeah. So I was in Vegas, and then traveling back here every other week for a week at a time. So they just put me up in a hotel. And then when I decided to move back out here, got rid of my place there and then got a place here.
Good.
Yeah.
Domesticated again.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
JJ, what do you got?
All right. So back to I want to know more about the meth lab and the bio cleanup. So yeah, what else is there in bio cleanup? Like what kind of
You know what bio cleanup is?
Oh, the nasty stuff.
Yeah,
The
I don't want to
nasty
talk
stuff.
about that.
We can't talk about that on the air.
Well, I
No.
mean, initially you in your mind you think, toilet overflows. Okay, there's a bio cleanup,
No,
but that's not what you're talking about. But yeah, there are the others, and that's those can be, that's
So-
brutal.
So the nice things I can talk about
Yeah.
is pigeon feces that qualifies under the bio.
Oh man, I
category.
never even would have thought of that one.
Yeah, so that's covered under there. And then like healthcare properties, needles or drugs or something like that, they'll have us clean up. A lot of that's found in parking lots, surprisingly.
Yeah, kind of goes along with that whole meth lab thing.
Or another example, we're actually working on this right now. It was a fire that happened at a construction site, but one of their refrigerated containers had chemicals in it. So that qualifies as a fire cleanup, but also bio.
So with all this, and this is my ignorance, with all of this kind of heavy chemical type stuff, you guys must have tons of hazardous material training in house.
Yes, all of our estimators and then field workers, they're all trained in all this.
They must go through a lot of hours of training.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a very, very the licensing, the mask, respirator, you got all that stuff that you have to go
So
through.
we should really call this episode Rebuilding Arizona instead of Building Arizona, because Karli gets to her company gets to rebuild everything.
Well, and that's kind of what I want to ask. So you deal a lot with construction companies.
Yes.
So how does what you do, besides what you've already alluded to, in that demo companies, or when people have got a new project, they've got demo and asbestos abatement, how does what you do play into the construction industry and like working with people like JJ, or what would you do in those cases?
So This is why I like Arizona, because we can offer everything to you guys. So whenever I'm talking to a new client, I'm like, pretty much anything you don't want to deal with in the building,
We do it.
we take care of it. Yeah. Obviously, new construction's a little harder for us to
Okay.
have any. The things that I would point out there is more like duct cleaning after, you know, you're done with construction to
Mhm.
make sure all that's clean, with the dust and everything. Or God forbid someone, you know,
Mhm.
punches a valve or something like that where they cause a flood, then we can come in on the emergency side.
That happens more often than people
Yes.
like to think.
Yes. So out here, it's a little different for us because we can come in different parts of the project, whether it's new build or a remodel. But say somewhere like Vegas, where I cover, it's really only beforehand. It would be when an estimator knows there's asbestos that needs to be removed, or if they need help with the soft interior demo, or mid project, if they come across something that they didn't know was there, like mold, then we could come in that realm.
So you did a lot of work on the Strip.
We can't actually because
yes.
they're union and
Correct.
we're not a union company. There
We
are,
I'll just throw that in there. But go ahead. Yeah, you didn't know that?
The what?
We are union.
No, I knew that.
Yeah. So we can work on this. But the union is, I mean, the Strip is 100% locked down.
Oh, yeah. So they can't call us directly, but say like one of our big GCs that we work with is on a project and they come across something like that,
Gotcha.
then they can call us in, but it's the hotel themselves calling us.
Gotcha.
Right.
It's very...
Yep. No, I understand. So it's when an owner requests, that's different, completely different. Okay. So so then when you're focusing on the asbestos abatement, then I would assume that when you're dealing with construction and contractors, it's with demo. Typically, yeah. Okay. Yeah. Very interesting.
Yeah.
So you're thinking the wheels are turning.
You know, smoke's coming out. Yeah.
So is the time in Vegas, is that when you started working in the construction industry?
Yes. So I actually started working for a testing company when I got into the industry.
What type of testing?
So just the complete opposite side of what I'm doing now. So it was the asbestos, mold, lead.
Okay.
All that stuff. So it was nice because, you know, it was an easy transition for when I joined Alliance. And when I'm talking to clients, I can be more helpful in trying to save them money or letting them know when they need to do the asbestos survey. Or not everyone thinks, say, like a multi-family type complex, they think that they're gonna, you know, save money by not doing a comprehensive survey of the whole entire property. But really, if they think about it, it's going to not only save them time, but money as well to do that. So I can help talk and try to help them save money from both sides.
Yeah. Well, I think, again, for the audience, Karli, go down that rabbit hole and explain what that means in a more granular fashion. As far as the comprehensive.
Yeah, so we'll just take multifamily because that's the easiest. So multifamily, if you do a comprehensive survey of the whole entire complex, if I remember correctly, it's like 10% of the total units in each building.
Okay.
And don't quote me on that. I think that's what it is. I can't
Close
100%
enough.
Yeah.
Close enough for this podcast, I can tell you that.
Exactly. Okay. So
we're not gonna Wikipedia and check you afterwards. I can tell you that.
Good. If you did that covers you for any of the units that you're doing work in, and you can have that on file until you change the material of of that unit or the entire complex. So say unit 1 has a flood and you have to go in and do work, then someone shows up and is like, hey, where's your asbestos survey? They can pull it out. They don't have to wait for it to get done, and there you go. But if they didn't have that comprehensive survey and a flood happens, you go get tested, and then something happens 3 months later, that survey does not cover you for that next disaster. It only covers you for the time that you're doing the work.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So you can do the comprehensive survey, and then if you change a material in the unit, then that can just be added on as an addendum.
There you go.
Interesting. Let's take a break, and we'll be right back.
Torrey Contracting, your full-service Division 9 contractor. Torrey Contracting operates with a smaller, hands-on team. This cohesive structure results in superior workmanship and economical solutions. We deliver projects with unsurpassed commitment to quality and stewardship of budget. Torrey Contracting, small enough to listen, big enough to deliver.
Okay, awesome. Did you have something else to follow up on that?
No, I'm good on that topic.
Okay, good. Thank you. Just want to make sure.
The moderator has spoken.
Okay, are you through? Okay. This next one I really like. How do you go about building your book of business? Now, you use social media. You're very big on social media, big on LinkedIn.
Yes.
How do you go about that? And how do you leverage social media to help build your clientele?
Well, as far as LinkedIn goes, I actually started using that at one of my previous jobs where I was just straight cold calling all day, every day.
Mhm.
And I was like, how on earth am I going to find my leads? And so someone introduced me at that company, LinkedIn.
Mhm.
And obviously, when LinkedIn came out, everyone thought it was just a place to find jobs. No one
Oh,
actually thought
It's
that
still a
it,
huge part of it.
oh,
But yeah, you're
yeah,
right.
absolutely.
Mhm.
No one thought, though, that you can actually get business from it. So I took that experience and moved it to where I was marketing to doctors.
Mhm.
And I don't know if anyone's had experience with doctors, but it's extremely difficult to get in the door with doctors. They're probably the hardest people to sell to. And so I was like, well, how on earth am I going to get in front of these guys, if the gatekeeper is preventing me from
Correct.
talking to them? So what I did, I connected with them on LinkedIn and I messaged them directly, and then I started getting responses. So I use LinkedIn for every single job that I'm in. But as far as how I utilize it for this particular job, I would say I really started using it during the COVID timeframe because that's when I started with this job.
Mhm.
I was very lucky enough to have a book of business from the testing side.
Sure.
But I was like, how on earth am I going to do this remote? So I kind of changed things up and I was like, what are people needing right now? People need to laugh. People need to smile. They need to forget everything that's going on. So I will admit I was a complete goofball on LinkedIn. And
Perfect.
That's how I met her.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah. I started doing weird videos. Well, I started doing videos in the first place. No one did videos pre-COVID. So I started doing videos. I started doing like motivational posts. And then I was like, you know what? Let me do some giveaways on here and relate it to the company so that people are paying attention to what I do for a living.
Mhm.
And then I will reference my Vegas mom, Julie Farina with RBM Building Services. She and I came up with an idea to do giveaways together. And then I was like, what can I do to like spice things up? So I decided to start doing like dancing videos with her. And
Oh,
literally,
I have not seen any of
You
that.
haven't?
I have not.
I think that's what we like connected on was like
Probably
one
like
of
a
those
couple years. I think it was a
videos.
couple years ago.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, for the audience sake, the first time I met Karli face to face, we went axe throwing together.
Yes. Complete opposite of dancing.
Yeah.
But you bring up such a great. So you and I think alike on
Oh, God help the world.
no. That means that this is probably
This is like an epiphany.
Yeah, exactly. In that, and I'm sure you learned this on LinkedIn that if you just talk about your work and what you do, it's crickets. Nobody
Oh,
cares.
yeah.
Now you'll get people that will follow. You'll get those hardcore people in the same business, but you're never going to grow your followers or your connections because people don't care.
No.
Now you don't have to be Facebook. You don't have to be Instagram ish to get people, but you have to appeal to a broader audience because some of the connections and you probably experienced this, I certainly have, some of the people that I've connected with that's actually brought business were 3, 4, 5 connections deep from somebody you connected with making some dancing video connection. And it's, somebody they were connected to that sees it. So it works.
It does. And I think a lot of the older generations, I will call them.
We resemble that remark.
No, you don't. The
Well,
old school way of thinking is, just talk about work and like that's it. And I'm like, no, I need to brand myself first and then plug the company that I work for, because once I get people's attention, then they're going to pay attention to what I'm talking about when it comes to work.
That's exactly the way that I look at it.
Yeah. Well,
go ahead.
To credit both of you, because for the audience that doesn't know, Robert, you kind of have this sidebar thing outside of Tori. You've got kind of a motivational, whatever you want to call it. You want to go ahead and mention the name, do your plug.
The Change Maker.
Thank you.
Okay,
I was giving you, the floor there. But to both of you, to both of your credit, excuse me, you show connection and vulnerability, and I think that's the key. I think another good one. I think Robert, forgive, I'm going to botch her name, Lorena, right?
Yeah,
in
Lorena.
Florida.
Yes.
When you look at her stuff and how she does that as well, and I think Karli, I think you've tapped into it as well as anyone here in the Phoenix market in the whole construction realm, because when you start peeling that onion back, you can see it's the same couple thousand people that are always intermixing, and I think you did a wonderful job of creating that connection and vulnerability.
Yeah, it really is what's important, what makes it work.
Right.
It really is, because we've already beat that to death. But
no, because here if I go back to even the last few weeks that we've had guests on, there isn't anyone that we haven't talked about how we did not connect originally, either in a forum or didn't validate that through LinkedIn.
Yeah, networking.
Yeah,
it's always some form of networking, and it's the way you use it to get behind that gatekeeper is brilliance, because the doctor's just too busy. He doesn't care.
Well, it's not just the doctor; it's everyone.
Well, I mean, that's what I'm saying. In that example, the doctor's just too busy. However, if they're sitting at lunch or they're sitting at home and they've just got their laptop sitting on their lap and they look and they see, they're more apt to connect. And then it's like, oh, well, yeah, stop by. I'll tell them to watch for you. And then you're in.
So, Karli, question for you. I think you brought up a couple of good points. One was that you, either strategically or just by happenstance, you did this and you had an effective result during the COVID times. What have you done since COVID, now that life's kind of back to normal? Have you changed your cadence at all, or are you keeping up the same kind of dynamic?
I would say I definitely have slowed down on the LinkedIn front, but I still use it. I would say, COVID times, I was using it every day.
Right.
Because that was the only way I would be, in front of people. But now I would say like 2 to 3 times a week I'm using it. But the other aspect that people don't utilize, I don't think, as much as they should, is the direct messaging too. Because people just connect and that's it. Where me, whenever I connect with someone new, I message them and I don't take no answer as a no from them, because I can't tell you how many times I've reached out to someone and then like 2 weeks later, they're like, hey, by any chance do you do this, this, and this? And then, I get a job out of it. So LinkedIn, definitely slow, but I still use it quite a bit. And now I'm obviously utilizing the association events and trying to get out for lunch meetings, coffee meetings, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Are you intermixing any other social media with LinkedIn? Like, are you TikToking and using that or not?
No, I am not.
You would be great on TikTok.
Well, especially the dancing.
Oh yeah.
I don't want to go down that road. I don't know. I'm just not a fan of TikTok.
No Instagram, no Twitter.
I do Instagram, but just my personal stuff, not work related. I think for what we do, no one's going to go searching for what we do on Instagram. You're connected with people in the industry, so they're seeing my personal posts in that regards. But as far as like actually talking about work and stuff like that, I mainly use LinkedIn.
Yeah, the reason that I think that we do it is the adage, and this isn't maybe the OG sales coming out in me, is that it takes. I don't remember what it is now, 8 touches or
Mm,
whatever it
yep.
is, you know what I'm talking about. And a touch is anytime they see your name, hear your name. And it's just people cannot use you or won't use you if they don't know you're out there.
Absolutely. I know our company as a whole has all those platforms, but for me,
But you don't
yeah,
manage them.
I don't manage them. And then, like I said, I'm Facebook and Instagram are the only other 2 accounts that I have, and I'm connected with people in the industry. So I'm still technically in front of them, just not blowing up about work.
Okay.
What do you got next?
I was gonna jump on this significant project point. What would you consider Vegas, Arizona, either place, or it didn't even have to be in those places, your most significant project?
Ooh. I can talk about one in Vegas and then one in Arizona.
Perfect.
Okay. So we'll start with Vegas. So a hotel
Okay.
in Vegas. I don't want to name names.
That's
Okay.
fine.
There was a fire and it hit 7 floors of the hotel.
Maybe I can name it. No, I'm kidding. But
I
go
was
ahead.
like,
You
don't
probably
name-
started it.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it was started by a homeless person.
Okay.
And
Yeah, I probably did start it.
but yeah, so a fire happened and another company was actually brought in, and they started the first floor was starting to do the abatement because it's an older property, so filled with asbestos. And unfortunately, they hit a valve and caused a flood on top of the already damaged property. And before that even happened, they had taken, I think it was 5 months to complete 1 floor. But after that unfortunate disaster happened, they were no longer on the project, and we came in through other people that were involved. And we then took over the next 6 floors, and we were able to complete that in 3.5 months for
Amazing.
them.
Mhm.
So
How many people do you recall how many people were on it?
I don't recall
Says you
how
could.
many people were on it, but I will say we're now with a company that we acquired. We are probably the largest now
Okay.
abatement company in Vegas.
Wow.
So to be able to do a project like that in that amount of time is huge, especially in Vegas,
Sure.
because I'm sure, as you guys know, labor is not the best.
Right.
So the fact that we could accomplish that was huge.
Well, and their lost revenue. So
Yep.
for you to put that
exactly.
back for, you know, whether there was their insurance company or whomever, yeah, that's a big deal.
Yep.
Huge. Okay, Arizona.
Yeah. So Arizona, well, obviously I haven't been out here that long, but I would say the biggest project that we've been able to assist with since I've been out here for one of my clients, it was a project they were planning on demoing the property to the ground to build something new. And unfortunately, EPA came, asked where the survey was. They didn't have it. So they called me thinking that we did testing in-house, which we don't. So I coordinated the testing, got them out same day, results the next day. And then obviously certain things came back hot for asbestos. And the owner of the project was like, we need this done in 7 days. When realistically, it probably should have taken like a month for us to accomplish. And we figured out how to get it done in 7 days. We worked overnight and it was completed. So I think those are 2 of the biggest projects as far as being able to help our client in the time that they needed it done, so they don't lose any revenue.
Do you? I'm gonna hit you with something here that I know you're not prepared for, but
I don't like that.
Welcome to my world, Karli.
I don't like that.
um,
Can I say I don't know?
so when we talk, you can.
You can plead the fifth.
Yeah. So when you talk about asbestos abatement,
Mhm.
in the time that I was in the business, and maybe it was more of a new thing at that time, but maybe you still get some of this. I had people that would tell me that it was a scam. That it was, you don't want, why do you have to do, what's the deal? Because we would go and it would immediately, I mean, we were in an old home, we would take, we knew good and well it was going to test positive for asbestos, and then the claim goes way up.
Mhm.
but there's a reason that you're having to check for asbestos. It's not just to make a claim bigger. It's for health reasons. But anyway, what do you tell people? Do you get that anymore? Do you get people say, oh, that's just, now you probably don't as much on the commercial side, clearly, but on a residential side.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's your response?
I mean, obviously for residential, it's kind of at their own risk, because you don't necessarily, like, if they're doing it on their own, you know, as long as they're not having workers do it, then it's kind of at their own risk.
Correct.
So
yeah, once it becomes the general contractor's liability,
you want a contractor to do it, that has to be tested.
So then I'm like, okay, would you rather just pay for the test? Like, what is it? Like $375 maybe?
Yeah.
Or do you want a $10,000 fine?
Yeah.
That's a pretty good one. If that doesn't shut your mouth wide open.
Boy, I wish I could use that for my sales punchline.
Yeah.
Well,
$375 or $10,000.
Well, and now I'm getting a lot of pushback actually these days. So now I actually have on my computer the NESHAP document so that I can provide it to the client, so they don't think that I'm like just making this up. And
again, mostly residential.
Actually, no.
Oh, really?
Commercial.
Well, okay. I guess I can see that because of in our minds, we always thought it was pre-87 or pre-79 or whatever that magic date was. And when they're looking at a building that they know is 5 years old and they're tearing it down, they're going to say, nah, there's no asbestos in this thing.
In Vegas, what was it? I think it was like 2000, but because it's commercial, it had to be tested. And sure enough, it came back with asbestos.
Yeah.
So
better safe than sorry.
Yeah.
That is why you have insurance.
Well, and it goes up the ladder as far as who's getting fined. So if property management's involved, general contractors involved, everyone gets hit. Yeah,
and as a general contractor, just won't even take the risk.
Well, what do you mean?
Well, and there's one, and I'm saying, I'm taking that, oh man, this building's 5 years old. There's no asbestos in this thing. We're just going to knock it down and haul it off to the dump and be done with it. Oh, I probably shouldn't have asked this question.
No, I'm fine with it because we do mostly new build. But I remember when we first started, we were doing a lot of renos, and I mean, we just made it company policy, and we always did the surveys, and we even have it as a line item on all of our schedule values on our estimates.
Build it into the number. Why not?
Right, and then if you're sitting down with an owner and you're going over it, and they adamantly refuse it, it's like, well, then you have that different conversation. It's like, hey, listen, my liability doesn't cover it. We're either doing this or find yourself a new GC.
Exactly.
And I mean, I don't think I've ever had anyone push back because, those, like Karli was saying, the fees compared to the other side, the risk reward was like a no brainer. But like you said, you still have some of the old guard that, we're not doing that.
And you always will.
Yeah.
Yeah, you always will. So, you have anything next?
I was going to go back to Karli.
Dancing videos?
Kind of.
Okay.
But just, I think a lot of our audience is just as much into, you bring an interesting dynamic to the podcast today, because it's as much about the personal branding as it is about what you're doing company wise. Back to the personal branding thing. On what's it like, because you are in a construction related environment, you've nailed the social media, but what's it like being a woman on the BD side?
That's hard. Yeah, it's very difficult. I'll admit it.
Yeah.
How so?
Well,
encountering shirts like that, haircuts like this.
No, I mean, you could touch on it.
Go ahead. Our audience is PG-13, so we're good.
No, I mean, it's not even just in the BD role, but women in construction in general. I will say there's pros to it, but there's also cons. The pros, I'll start with that, is women empowering women that are in this industry. I think that has really grown over the years. And I will say the top estimator in our company is a female. So, and she works in Vegas. So that's amazing. So we get to confide in each other and go over, what our hurdles are and stuff like that. So I think that is a pro. Then just being a female that's working in general is not even necessarily in construction, but coming from the Midwest, you get married early, you have kids early, and then either you're a stay-at-home mom or you're a teacher or a nurse or something, that a female,
That's your role.
That's our role.
Yeah. There are people out there that still do firmly believe that that's the way that it should be.
And I can't tell you how many times I'm asked, when is, or my parents are being asked, when is Karli getting married? When is she having kids? She's 33 now, clock's ticking. So,
maybe that's just your parents wanting grandkids and nothing to do with Karli.
No. So
I know, I'm just messing with you.
You get asked that all the time. And I'm different. I'm a very career travel oriented person. I like my independence, and that's that. As far as being actually in the construction world, it's hard in the sense that I feel like we're not necessarily heard all the time. And it's a hurdle when say I get a job and I'm asking for the information that I need for that job, or can we get a job walk? Where's the survey? Stuff like that. And it's, no, we can't get a job walk. I don't know if I can get the survey, answers like that. Then I go to my branch manager. Hey, I'm not getting anywhere with this. Can you maybe find out? And then the answers are there in 2 seconds. So
that certainly still goes on.
Yeah. So I would say that's honestly the biggest challenge, but I'm just very confident with what I do. I'm very persistent, and I don't let that get me down.
Yeah, you will see me. You are going to answer my questions.
Yeah.
Good for you. Yeah. Let's take a break. We'll be back to finish up.
There comes a time when dreams become a reality, when you see your vision materialize into a true work of art. And the only way to get there is to choose a general contractor who shares that same vision and knows how to bring it to life. At Blue Wave, we aren't so big that we've forgotten where we've come from, and we aren't so small that we can't care for your projects regardless of their size. When your vision deserves safety, perfection, timeliness, and expertise in order to become a reality, trust Blue Wave to get it done right the first time.
Let's stay on Karli here for a minute.
Well, of course. What, do we have another guest coming in 5 minutes or what?
Yeah. Oh, we're just got to finish. No, I'm kidding. So,
Daryl's got a tea time.
That's right. So one of the things that I find fascinating about you is you're obviously a very active person. You exercise, you play golf.
I try.
Yeah. Maybe you ride around in a golf cart, but I get it. But I see that you have a nephew that's autistic.
I do.
And your interest or your dream is to what?
So I guess I should give some backstory on.
Please do.
Right. So, when you're in school, like elementary school or middle school, and, you line up and you have the teams and you're getting picked, for whatever team, and you're always worried that you're going to be last, and it's usually based on who that person that's team captain likes the best or who's better at that sport, and then you're always afraid that you're going to be last. So being autistic, unfortunately, you have to deal with either people making fun of you or picking you last or just looking at you differently. So my nephew, I don't know if he's doing it this year, but previous years, he actually, I don't know who started it, but there's like this little league.
How old, by the way?
Oh gosh, how old is he now? He is 13 now.
Okay.
Yes, and he's taller than me, believe it or not.
No, that's not hard to believe. You're short. Okay.
I'm 5'6.5".
Oh, okay. Okay.
That's pretty tall.
Okay.
So
way to fall on that sword.
Yeah. No, we went right back to that women in construction thing. It's like, no, I'm tall. Okay, got it. Okay, 5'6".
5'6.5".
Yeah.
No. So there's this little league,
Hmm.
and it's all special needs kids.
Interesting.
So, and it's all volunteers that put it
Mhm.
on. So I came up with this, I guess, dream of mine
Mhm.
to start a gym where each day you're learning a different sport, and then say on the weekends, like all those kids get together and they do an actual game of whatever sport,
Mhm.
and it's strictly special needs kids.
And have you pitched this to anybody yet?
I have not. I was
Okay.
going to before I moved to Vegas, but then life happened.
Okay. Well,
And
maybe
now
you
I'm
just
back,
did.
Yeah,
so
maybe our captive audience.
Maybe you just did pitch that to
maybe I
somebody.
did. Yeah.
No, that's very admirable. It touched me. I thought, oh well, good for you.
Thank you.
I'd like to see that happen.
Yeah,
Me
no,
too.
no, I golf clap there to that one.
Yeah, there's your sponsor
Where?
right there, JJ.
Oh yeah.
Okay. We could. No, it would be very cool to see it come to fruition
Yeah.
from a listener.
I would love to.
So before we went to break there, I wanted to go back
Mm-hmm.
to Karli. You were going down a really good path with kind of, what it's like being a woman in construction, all those kind of things. But for the audience sake, is there anything that you found that has really helped, either associations, the networking mixers, anything like
Mm.
that? If you can get into any specifics, I think it just gives the audience a nice way of branching out on their own time. And if they could, listen to your story and feel empowered by that, is there anything you
Mhm.
would like to share with the audience on that?
As far as associations, I would say the best association that I've ever joined, Vegas, I was actually a part of it. Arizona, I've only attended the event so far, but Crew is probably the best association as far as
And Crew is,
it's
you
it's what is it? Commercial real estate,
Mm.
essentially for women.
Okay.
Out here, I know they definitely make sure that it's more woman heavy.
Mhm.
Vegas, you can be male or female, and
How
they'll.
dare them?
But it's always female speakers that are at the lunch meetings and stuff like that. So I think as far as like women in the industry, that's the best one that I have found. And then out here, more so than Vegas, I've seen a lot of like smaller networking groups start that aren't necessarily a part of an association. So just finding that good core group of people that you can surround yourself with, I think is super helpful.
Very
Daryl,
good.
can you think of anything that sparked? Because I know how your mind works.
What has the everyman come up with for a question? Anything?
We put him on the spot without his mic.
He usually has these one-off questions that
know.
nobody else thinks about.
Well, as you were just talking about Crew, do you prefer that this be a all women group? Because when I hear of inclusivity, when I hear that word, my first thing is, if we want equality for everybody, it makes sense to do what Vegas is doing. Why only tailor it to one side? So what is your preference?
I think, I don't know, because like out here, I'm also actually a part of NAOP.
Mhm.
And I like that it broadens it to everyone. But I think if you're struggling as a female in the industry, Crew is a good avenue to go towards.
Yeah, great answer.
To
You
help
do-
you
you
come out of your
need-
shell.
Yeah, you need something
Yeah.
that is your peer group.
Well, there's networking and then there's advocacy as well.
Yeah.
When
Yeah.
I think of those two words, it's if we're all struggling with.
Great question, by the way.
Way to go, Daryl. That's why I put you on the spot. Where was I going with this? Oh, like you said, when you need the support and you need that advocacy to find your own niche and your own sounding board. But then like NAOP's a great example. I mean, we brought them up last week with James as well, because, they're so heavily involved in, as are a lot of general contractors. That's your larger, tons of information, but just, it's at a grander scale. Let's be honest. You're not getting down into the minutiae as you are in those smaller ones. So I think there's a time and a place for both, for everyone.
Sure.
I will say in Vegas, because that's where I really got into the industry, I would say crew was probably the best overall for me to be introduced to the industry, because for whatever reason that that association brings such a warm, welcoming group together. And if it wasn't for that group, I probably wouldn't be in the industry still.
Wow.
That's a pretty powerful statement.
That's quite an endorsement.
So
Yeah.
I really like it. If I was still living in Vegas, I would be a part of it.
But since you abandoned,
Yeah, she's the other desert rat.
yeah. Although, so yeah, I don't want to get into that. Yeah,
Daryl?
So I have another maybe 2 questions, but for sure
No,
one.
That means
we
7.
we got it started now. Okay.
Just wait till he takes pictures. There'll
Yeah.
be just 2 more.
So you're born in Wisconsin, came to
Yes.
Phoenix, went to Vegas, came back to Phoenix.
Mm-hmm.
What's the biggest difference between the places that you've been? Like what would you say like the biggest, change, or, like for me, Phoenix, it's the people. So I'm from Wisconsin. We were talking about that earlier. I've been to Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, the people are very different here in Arizona.
That you nailed it. What I was going to say, it is the people. Next would probably be the weather. But
what about the people? I think I know what you're going to say.
Well, let her say it then. Don't think it.
No. I'm really curious to find out why the
I
people.
don't know how to say it.
No.
You can say
let
it.
me think. Let's just say if I would have gone from Wisconsin to Vegas, I probably would have only lasted like a day. But coming from Wisconsin to Phoenix and then going to Las Vegas, that helped a little bit. I don't know. Midwest people have a different vibe, and
Friendlier?
I guess, yes, that's the best way of putting it.
Yeah.
More welcoming and warm to everyone. Like when I moved out here, I joined Lifetime Fitness, and I like to do the classes. Wait, let's go there.
No,
Why?
probably.
I just switched from Mount-Side Fitness, and I was going to go to Lifetime Fitness, right off the Biltmore 24th Street.
Yes.
I walked in, and I was all like, the vibe was just very different. And so I settled for an LA Fitness.
Yes.
Did you have your hot pink leotards on again this time or not?
I think
that's probably why you set off the vibe in the room.
Yeah, no. When I joined Lifetime Fitness out here, I was going to say, because I like to do the classes. That's what I do. Everyone was actually very friendly and welcoming, and noticed that I was new to the class. Even the instructor came up to me and introduced herself. But then I joined Lifetime in Vegas, and I did the same class over and over again. I would go up to someone and like try to talk to them, and they would turn around and walk the other direction. Not a single time did the instructor like introduce herself or ask who I was. Nothing. And then
no, do you find that to be true here as well too?
Yeah, but well, what do you mean, here or Vegas?
Well, here. I mean, even from your difference from
I traveled so much that I was just, I was telling you guys just last weekend, I was back up in Wisconsin to get my mom, and I found myself kind of smiling a lot. Everyone, I didn't spend a lot of time in my hometown for 20 some years. And then when my dad got sick a couple of years ago, I started spending time there again. And I felt like even after 20 some years, people would come up and just, hey, JJ, hey, JJ. It was very inviting, very warm, very, yeah. Now, but the difference, I will say, like Phoenix is, I still think it has, because this is the melting pot of America.
Right.
You still have you have more warmth here than if I drop myself in SoCal or in Vegas.
Sure.
It's just everyone just does their own thing.
Yeah. So we moved here from Austin, Texas in '88. And I remember my wife coming home one day from the grocery store, and like she had turned around to talk to somebody in the line at the grocery store. And she said, you would have thought that
she was an alien.
Yeah. I mean, nope. They don't do that here. You just don't, they'd rather bash carts into you than talk to you. But yeah. Did you have another question?
Yes, I did. So I feel like you're at a a really cool time in your life. You know, if I'm correct, your title is the director of BD for your company.
Yes, they officially changed it to key account manager now. But
Okay.
yes.
All right, sweet.
Mhm.
So,
I'm gonna use that one now.
Key account manager.
so
yeah.
through
same
all your
thing.
experience, you know, and things that you've done, what's been the biggest lesson you've learned, or maybe not lesson, but something that you're very grateful that you now come to realize?
No one is going to be a bigger advocate than yourself.
Oh, that's great.
Love that.
Yeah. So with that, how do people get a hold of you?
Well, you can find me on LinkedIn
Okay.
under my name, Karli Levin.
And it's Levin,
Her
not Levine.
alias.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you can email me, which is my first name, last name at alliance-enviro.com.
Okay.
It's a very long email. So
We'll put it out there on our when we rebroadcast this.
Absolutely. Man, it's been a blast.
Thanks, Karli.
Thank you.
And here's to the next axe throwing competition.
Yes.
Yeah, and
she is a master networker in all the right reasons, in all the right ways.
No, and if
Thank
if you will look her up on LinkedIn, you will see that, because she does post a lot of photos of the things that she's doing and the people that she's doing it with, and it's very well done. I wasn't invited. I knew you. We were hanging out. We were doing a podcast when you did the axe throwing thing.
We were?
Yep.
Oh.
Yeah, because you asked me to be on it.
And I didn't get an invitation.
Interesting.
Yeah.
You can blame that on me.
Blame Sergio.
No.
Or Sergio.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, yeah. So, yeah, let's all get together and throw axes at some point.
Well, thanks, Karli. Again, really appreciate you being here.
Thanks for having me.
And we'll do this again sometime. Daryl,
take us out of here.
You've been listening to the Mac and Blue Show, brought to you by Tory Contracting and Blue Wave General Contracting. Be sure to subscribe to the Mac and Blue podcast on your favorite podcast platform. Follow Robert Johnson and JJ Levinsky on LinkedIn and Instagram. And tune in live every Monday at 3 p.m. as we continue to introduce you to the people building Arizona. Walt Disney said, "You can dream, create, design, and build the most wonderful place in the world, but it requires people to make the dream a reality." Until next time, make it a great day.